Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar for TN, Direct Admissions 101, Understanding Tennessee's Pilot Study. My name is Sarah Bird, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Statewide Services at the Tennessee Higher Education Commission, and we are really excited to spend the next hour with you and explore what is direct admissions, why it's happening, how it's going to be taking place, and all of the logistics that we can share at this point about the new Tennessee Direct Admissions Initiative. So just as a reminder, this effort is designed to expand access to post-secondary opportunities for our students by proactively admitting them to participating colleges and universities before the students even apply. So we hope that today's session gives you a deeper understanding of how direct admissions can support our students and how this initiative really fits into the broader picture of college access work in the great state of Tennessee. So I am thrilled today to be joined by two experts who have played an instrumental role in shaping this program from the ground up. So first we have Dr. Duane Gregg, who is the Senior Director for College Access Initiatives at the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. And Duane oversees several of our statewide programs, college access programs, which are aimed at increasing post-secondary access and success for Tennessee students. And he has been very, very involved in developing and implementing this Tennessee Direct Admissions pilot program across our state. And we're also joined by Dr. Taylor Odle, who is the Assistant Professor of Educational Policy Studies at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And Dr. Odle is a leading research in college access work and has worked with many college access programs to evaluate the impact of the work that they do. So we're really excited to have the two of you here today. So thank you again for being here to our speakers and to all of our participants. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Duane and Taylor, and we'll get your PowerPoint going here, Duane.
Good morning and welcome. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint, and I think Taylor is going to start out presenting.
While Duane's doing that, I'll just echo Sarah's comments and thank everyone for being here, and also share our excitement for this initiative. As you guys know, Tennessee is always doing something exciting at the forefront of college access and success, financial aid, college advising, et cetera. And so we're super, super excited that Tennessee is once again leading the nation in an innovation to simplify pathways to and through college. So as Sarah said, my name is Taylor Odle. I'm actually a Tennessee native. I was born and raised in Robertson County, graduated from Springfield High School, and went to UT for undergrad. And so I'm particularly excited to be able to partner with the state on a program like this. I'm also a former THEC staffer, and so it's really been lovely to work with so many familiar faces in this process. But as Sarah said, what we're ultimately trying to do at the end of the day is make pathways to and through college simpler for students. And we've made a lot of advances in the financial aid landscape through things like Tennessee Promise or Tennessee Hope, or the Tennessee Work Scholarship. And those things don't exist in all other states. And so Tennessee is very, very unique in that way. And we know through programs and supporting organizations like Advise Tennessee and AIRS and Nicemonger and Gear Up and other initiatives that we have across the state that we are really moving the needle on getting more people into college, on serving those students who face really high barriers to access, whether it's financial or social or cultural capital, completing complex forms, or just getting someone to tell them that they are college material, that college is an option for them, and let them see that viable pathway to college and then into the workforce. However, there are still a lot of complications in that process. And so what we're going to try and do today is, or we're going to do through this project is reduce some of those barriers for students. And so as Sarah said, we're excited to partner with the Tennessee Higher Education Commission on this project. I'm a professor at UW-Madison. I have two colleagues at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, Rick Weisbord and Tricia Ross Anderson, which you might see their names come up throughout the project. And I would be remiss to not say a huge and very gracious thank you to Lumina Foundation, Kresge, and Bloomberg Philanthropies, which are funding this work. So Can you go to the next slide, Duane? Great. So, as many of you know, and as why we do a lot of the work that we do, whether it's through advising or supports or financial aid or anything else, is that many students, and actually a recent poll showed that a majority of high school seniors ranked applying to college as their most, quote, stressful academic experience. We know that this isn't easy, but we colloquially say things like, oh, well, just apply. And what actually is embedded in that just apply is a ton of stuff. So students have to complete really long application forms. They have to submit transcripts. They have to go and get a counselor letter of recommendation or teacher letters of recommendation. They have to submit resumes, write essays, pay application fees, and do all of this over and over again on a variety of deadlines, right? And so what that then turns, I would argue, like the dinner table conversation for students and parents, and what many folks do as counselors, is answer the first question or get over the first hurdle, which is, how do I apply to college? So how do I get to the point where I'm going to find out if I got in, and then I can have a discussion around, well, where should I go? What should I study? How am I going to pay for it? Et cetera, et cetera. What we're going to try to do with direct admissions is bypass that first dinner table conversation of get rid of the red tape for students asking this question, well, how do I apply? And go ahead and proactively admit them to college. So there is no more application. There is no more managing these various deadlines. There is no more writing essays. There is no more doing a variety of those tasks. They can now say, hey, I've been admitted to these several institutions, and I'll tell you what's even more exciting about this on the next slide. But I've been admitted to these institutions. I only need to complete like a really short form that lets them know what I want to study, that I plan to show up in the fall, etc. And they can start to do those things. Because what we know is that we have a variety of information on students that already allow us to do that. So 1/3 of all college students attend a community college, which is by definition open access. It's meant to serve the public and meant to serve a variety of student populations. Another 54 or so percent of students attend what we would call minimally selective or also open access universities, where they accept 75% or more of the people who apply. So by definition, we have more than 80% of students who are attending institutions that accept 75 or 100% of the folks who apply. So it kind of begs the question, what are we doing? It kind of feels like we're setting up these unnecessary hurdles for students, but we're also making our lives as college access professionals, and we're making institutions' lives harder by pushing around a lot of paperwork that isn't necessarily leading to a high stakes college decision. So in 2016, oh gosh, 2015, 2016, the state of Idaho was the first state to pilot something called direct admissions. And the idea here is just taking all that information we already know about students, which names, addresses, GPA or ACT score, and using that information to proactively push to them college-going information. We all know that our students are broadly admissible to a variety of our institutions, but they don't know that. And the application process itself sets up this high level of uncertainty and complexity that keeps them from applying in the first place. And so what direct admissions programs do is proactively send a letter to students and parents and counselors that say, hey, Duane has been admitted to this set of colleges. He is college material. We want him to stay in state. And we've made this decision based on existing data we have for him. He doesn't need to apply. He just needs to tell us that he wants to show up in the fall, basically, and we'll take it from there. And so these types of programs have now spread, or simplifications like it have now spread to 15, 20 plus states across the country. And I've been really fortunate to partner with a variety of those states to study these direct admissions programs. And what we know is that simplifications of the application process do increase the enrollment of students, and they also increase earlier college-going tasks, like completing other applications to different colleges that maybe weren't in the direct admissions pool, or getting students to complete shorter-term tasks like meeting with an advisor or completing the FAFSA. However, one thing that remains at the end of the day that no state has figured out yet is it's really nice for a student to be admitted to college, but at the end of the day, they have to be able to afford it. And so we need to do both. We need to have a nod toward both if we're going to attempt to really lower barriers to college. We need to simplify the application process, but we also need to simplify the aid process. So it's not only you've been admitted, but there are resources to help you pay for it. And that's what we're going to do with Tennessee direct admissions. So once again, Tennessee is going to be the first state to do something. We've stood up a direct admissions program where we're going to automatically admit tens of thousands of high school seniors to one of our many, many, many participating TCATs, community colleges, and public and private universities. But what we're also going to do is signal upfront commitments of financial aid to those students. So Tennessee Promise and Tennessee Hope predominantly. But what's really cool is that we're also going to signal institutional financial aid to those students. So in that first letter that many students will receive, it will not only let them know that they've been admitted to a set of institutions, but it will also include a financial aid information letter, if you will, that tells them how much aid they are pre-qualified for on Promise, on Hope, on a variety of merit-based aid from those institutional scholarships. And so it's a super, super important innovation in Tennessee that we hope is going to start the ball rolling. This is not going to be a panacea. Students haven't completed the FAFSA yet. We don't know about their family income, et cetera, et cetera. So we can't meet all challenges with one program. But what we do know is that direct admissions advances those dinner table conversations. And we know that telling students that there is money on the table and letting them know how much money is on the table is an important behavioral incentive in getting them to complete other tasks, like reach out to one of you to ask questions about this, like file the FAFSA so that they can get a more accurate estimate on their net price. And so Tennessee is going to be the first state to do this, and we're going to rigorously study it through an experiment so that we know what works for which populations of students, so that if next year the state decides to scale this or open it up to a variety of other high school partners, we'll know what combination of services were actually effective at moving the needle. So it was the admissions letter. It was also the financial aid component. It was also some advising. It was also some text nudges. We're going to test all of those things through this direct admissions pilot this year. Did I have another slide, Duane?
Come up.
Okay.
Thank you, Taylor. So the question then is, what is this going to look like in the state of Tennessee? How is this going to work for us? The first thing that I wanted to just kind of repeat from what Taylor said several times is that this is a study during this year 25-26. So there's going to be several things that are going to be done this year because it's a study, because of the work that Taylor and the other evaluators are going to be doing, that assuming that direct admissions in Tennessee is something that we repeat and we continue to replicate year after year, that are going to be different in future years than what will happen this first year. And let me just go up front and mention a couple of those. So one is that Taylor's team used all the public high schools in the state of Tennessee and randomly selected the ones that will be participating. So we have a third of the high schools across the state of Tennessee for this 1 year that are what we call the control group, that will not be participating in direct admissions. And we'll talk more about that later. But that is for exactly what Taylor just mentioned, is so that he and his team can compare, is this working? And then later I'll talk to you more about not just is it working, but what about direct admissions is working. So there will be a third of the high schools and the seniors of those high schools across the state that will not be a part of this study. And that will leave 255 participating high schools this year and approximately 45,000 students. If you aren't sure if your high school is participating, then later I will show you the website that you can go to and see the list of all the participating high schools. Another thing that will probably be different going forward is this year we have all the TCATs, all the community colleges, and 21 public and private four-year institutions across the state that are participating. In future years, there will probably be even more institutions that will participate. It was very important this year that geographically we wanted to have representation in all the grand divisions, all the regions, all the areas, so wherever a student was located at whatever high school was selected to participate, they would have a TCAT option, a community college option, and a four-year option that was going to be near them. But also, as far as institutions, and you can see here the list of participating institutions. It is everything from the University to ETSU, or from Bethel University to Milligan or Tusculum. So it really is from one side of the state to the other, so that students will have multiple institutions to choose from in this process. As you can see here from the map, that it is the diversity that we were looking for statewide. So again, going forward, there will probably be even more institutions that will be participating. And just kind of a couple other things again that we're doing this year as it being a study. So there may be things along the way that maybe just don't make sense or don't seem fair this year, and just keep in mind it is for the purpose of the study, so we can learn what's working and what we want to do and how we want to do things well going forward if we continue with direct admissions. So how is this going to really work from a student's perspective? So as Taylor mentioned, we're proactively admitting students. So most institutions, as he mentioned, many institutions have open enrollment, so they're admitting every student that applies. And other institutions are basically using an ACT score and or a student's GPA. Those are records that at the Tennessee Higher Education Commission we already have. For instance, with ACTs scores, because of HOPE eligibility related to ACT scores, then we have ACT scores for students. We also have a couple of means for collecting students' GPAs as well. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about how you can help us with GPAs as well in this process. So proactively admitting students, just as Taylor said, allows the students, all of you have worked with students that they did not think they would get into a college, so they didn't even apply. You've seen students who have applied to an institution, and this could have been a community college or a TCAT or one of their 4 years, but they were shocked when they received a letter saying that they were accepted. Students who apply, but they're waiting and waiting and waiting until they are accepted, that, just for various reasons, they haven't received a letter for a while telling them that they're accepted to that institution. So they're kind of in that limbo position for a little while. And then students who they either don't apply because they can't afford it, or maybe they apply to a different institution because they didn't think that they could afford the one that they really wanted to go to. And so part of this process is also going to give them that upfront look, not just at being accepted to these institutions and admitted, but also how much financial aid they could possibly receive at each of these institutions, as well as from the state. So the institutions have already submitted to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission their admission requirements for GPA and ACT scores, as well as the institutional aid. So meaning that if a student has a 3.5, then this institution would give them their President's Scholarship at $3,000. Or if they have a 3.8, they would get a 25 ACT, the institution would give them this particular financial aid award and scholarship. So they have already given us that information. So what the entry point for students to be a part of Tennessee Direct Admissions, one is their high school has to be selected this year as one of the participating high schools. The second thing is the students have to complete the Tennessee Promise. That is kind of their ticket, so we get the last part of the information that we need from students. Once we receive their information through the Tennessee Promise application, we will marry what we have from the Tennessee Promise application, ACT records, and GPAs with what the institutions have given us as far as their admission requirements as well as their award requirements. With that, mid to late November, a letter will be sent out to all of these seniors across the state at participating high schools that completed the Tennessee Promise app. They will receive a letter both by email and mail. And I'll show you what the letter is going to look like here in a minute. But on that letter, we'll list their colleges they were accepted to, that they've already been admitted to, that they've been pre-admitted, as well as financial aid information. And then it'll include a QR code. The students will scan the QR code. And what that will do is take each student to an individual website. So every student that gets a letter, their QR code will take them to their own website, where it will list all the institutions and the information about their financial aid, and they will select the institutions where they want to accept the admissions of those institutions. That information will then come back to Tennessee Higher Education Commission, who will send the students' information to the institutions from THEC, and then each institution will follow up with the students, sending them a letter saying congratulations on being a part of our class of 2026. We welcome you as a new bear or a new gator or bird or whatever it may be. You're one of us. We look forward to having you this fall. And then it will say, we just wanted to remind you that here are some things that you need to do before you can start classes in the fall. So these would include things like creating their portal, sending a final transcript, participating in orientation, all of those things that students normally have to do. But what they don't have to do is apply to the colleges. There will not be any application fees, and they won't wonder whether or not they are accepted or not because they've already been pre-accepted. So a quick glance of what the letter itself will look like. So I'm going to talk a little bit later about what the different treatment groups, but for students that are part of what we call treatment groups 3, 4, and 5, their letter will be a 3-page letter. The first page will be a letter signed by Governor Lee, congratulating them on all of their academic work, reaching their senior year, and asking them about, just thinking about what it is that they want to do and plan to do after high school, and introducing them to Tennessee Direct Admissions. It will also direct them, if they haven't already decided or thought a lot about what colleges and what post-secondary institutions they might want to check into, or if they're not sure about careers and majors to go to college for TN, and they can evaluate that even more. The second page of their letter will list all of the institutions that they've already been accepted to, both the community college, the TCATs, and the four-year institutions. And for those that are part of treatment groups 3, 4, and 5, there will also be what the third page is about financial aid, giving them what financial aid that they would be eligible for at all of the institutions on the previous page. So any institutional aid that they could receive from those institutions, as well as anything state aid. So that would be in Tennessee Promise and Hope and a couple of other awards that they may have earned based upon their GPA and ACT. And then, as I mentioned before, they would see a QR code there. They would just click on that QR code, and then that QR code would take them to the website to where they will actually select their institutions. Just a reminder, and this will be really clear in the students' letters, but just because they've been accepted, just because they have the upfront offer from the institutions, there's a difference between being accepted to these institutions and being able and ready to start classes in the fall. So the institutions will continue to remind them that there's still steps or still things that they're expected to do. Again, the final transcript, orientation, creating a portal, could be shot records, things like that, completing their FAFSA. So just a reminder to you all that those things still have to happen, as we will continue to remind students that those things need to happen as well before they actually start in the fall. But that doesn't mean that they were not already accepted or admitted. They were already admitted as part of the class to some work and things that need to be done before they're ready to start. So the 5 treatment groups, and again, this is because this is a study, it's because we want to know what works and what doesn't work. So the first group, which is going to be about a third of the high schools across the state, is the control group. These are groups that will not receive this direct admissions letter at all, and they will not be part of direct admissions this year. So if you're one of those schools, then you will just continue to do admissions and applications and financial aid. You will continue to do all of that the way you've always done it. Nothing is very different. And I thought about it earlier. So, I think in a sense, I think about that it's disappointing that this group and these group of students and counselors do not get to participate in direct admissions this year. Again, we're saying this is just for one year that it'll be like this. But how important it is that we have the control group. So I don't know if I was in that group, if I would feel that way, but it is that group allows us to see the difference between those students in Tennessee who are getting these letters and participating and who are not. The second group is also so important for that way. So Taylor mentioned that we'll be the first state in the country to not just provide students with upfront offer for admissions, but also information about their financial aid that they would be eligible for. So group 2 will be students who will receive a letter, but it will include the first page from Governor Lee, and it will include the second page listing all of the institutions in Tennessee that they've already been pre-admitted to, but it will not give them any information about financial aid. And then group 3 students that are in those high schools that were selected for group 3 will get the letter similar to just what you saw, that it'll be a 3-page or 4-page letter that will be a letter from Governor Lee that will list all the institutions where they're accepted, as well as an early indication of both state and institutional financial aid that they would receive. There are 2 more groups. So groups 4 and 5 will get the 3 or 4-page letter just like group 3 did. In addition to that, this is going to be about 40 high schools that were selected for this treatment. These students will receive probably a monthly text message. These are just going to be one-way text reminders. Have you claimed your spots yet? Have you completed your FAFSA? Have you completed your orientation? Things like that. Just kind of nudges, just kind of general reminders. Again, so after this study, we can compare group 4 to group 3, just like we want to compare 3 to 2 or 3 to 1. So that's the importance of group 4. Group 5, in addition to receiving the letter with institutions and financial aid, those who are part of this group will receive individualized, dedicated direct admissions advisor that's going to work with their high school and the seniors at that high school. This will include sending text. This will include phone calls. This will include being an individual who will hold office hours at the schools, someone who will meet with them on a one-on-one basis and go through their letter. Most of the people that will be doing this work for the individual advisors will be people that are already embedded in that school doing college and career advising work, or someone at THEC who works regionally and who visits schools. So, for instance, some of the TSAC outreach team that helps with financial aid workshops and things like that will be assisting with this process. Schools will not know what treatment group that they are part of. The only exception to this is obviously if your high school is selected to participate in group 5, you would know because you will find out very soon that you have been assigned a direct admissions advisor. And so we expect to let the principals of group 5 know next week that they were selected for group 5 and they will have a direct admissions advisor. So I wanted to talk just briefly about some things the Tennessee Higher Education Commission is doing to provide resources to school counselors and college access professionals. And then I also want to show you the website. So just a couple of things here briefly. On the left is one page of a postcard that's going to go out to seniors that took the ACT last year that we have their mailing address for. It's kind of to get them to start thinking about listening to when they hear direct admissions, to start to realize that this is a real thing, that they're going to have the opportunity to participate in college admissions in a very different, unique, and easier way this year without some of the barriers. So this postcard will be mailed out to some of these students in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have also created a direct admissions social media kit. So it would allow you to use this on whatever social media that your high school uses, things that you could put up on your website or something like that. So what I would like to do next, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to go to the website and share some of that. So just one second. Okay, so the easiest way to find the direct admissions information, go to the College for TN website, and if you look under school resources, the first tab is Tennessee Direct Admissions. Click there. The first thing that I wanted to show you that people are most certainly interested in is you'll see the 4th tab is high schools. Click on high schools. It will open up like this. And then it opens up by county alphabetically. So you would click on a county and it would open up and list every high school in that county that is participating that was randomly selected to participate in direct admissions this year in Tennessee. If the high school is not there, then the high school is not participating in direct admissions this year. Again, this doesn't tell you what treatment group they're in. There is nothing that will tell that. We'll let high schools know that when the letters go out in November, but this would just tell you that these high schools are selected. You can also click on participating institutions, and you will see the list that I've just shared with you in the PowerPoint, as well as the map and that sort of thing that I shared in the PowerPoint as well. Quickly, also just wanted to tell you, so I think Sarah mentioned in the beginning that you're holding your questions to the end of this PowerPoint presentation, and we are happy to answer them all. But if you have questions that come up afterwards that you think about, feel free to click on FAQs, and we just have listed a ton of FAQs there that you can just go through, and it may answer the question that you have about it. The last thing that I wanted to mention that's on this page, there's a great overview and information about the pilot study that you will see there, but I also just wanted to go down the bottom of the page here. Sorry, let me click first on overview. And then you see here communications. Click on learn more. This is a lot of information that you can use or share in any way that you wanted to. One-pagers that you could use with students and families. The joint letter that was sent to principals and directors of schools from Commissioner Reynolds and the executive director of THEC about direct admissions. Some PowerPoint presentations that we have used. The different institutions that are a part here. The social media toolkit that I just mentioned in the PowerPoint. So just we will continue to add things to this website, as well as very, very unique things that we'll put here in communications that you can use as well. So I just wanted to show you around there. And let me go back to the PowerPoint. All right. We've had these presentations that we've done several times for different groups of school counselors and college access professionals, and you're just a wonderful group of people that always want to ask, how can we participate? What is our role? What can we do? And I couldn't tell you how much I appreciate that. So what do we need from school counselors and college access professionals in this process? The first one is we want to make sure that when students hear direct admissions, when students get the postcards, when students get the letter from the governor, that they realize that this is a legitimate project. This isn't a scam. This isn't somebody trying to take their money or anything like that. So the more that you can do to just create awareness at your school about direct admissions, and that this is the process for admissions that they're going to be doing at the school this year, the better. We will also be sending some like wall clings and things like that to your schools as well. So things that you can put up on your wall. I think one of them is going to be like a template of the letter. So even before students actually receive the letter, they may see on your wall that kind of an idea of what's going to be coming in the mail to them. Again, Tennessee Promise is how students are going to be eligible for direct admissions project this year at the eligible high schools. So please help all of your seniors register for the Tennessee Promise. We're really blessed in Tennessee that 93, 94, 95% of our seniors across the state already register. But if there's any way at your high school that you can make that 100% or you can get more of them, then please do that. Students are going to receive the letter. One of the things that we've really tried to do with this process, we realize how much work that school counselors have on them already. You're not just doing college and career work, it's just everything else. Many of you have ratios of 3 or 4 or 500 students to 1. So part of this process is to make it that students are able to make decisions on their own. A lot of the work has kind of already been done for students. So our goal is that this isn't a burden in any way for school counselors, but also know that you're going to have students that are going to bring the letter to you and say, I received this, not just what is it or is it real, but what do I do with this and how does it work, or how should I decide between these 3 institutions on my list, or what does this mean about financial aid? So as you just always do, please answer their questions and help them follow through of making those decisions and then selecting the institutions that they want to accept that offer for. The last 2 things are about Hope Scholarship GPA. So this would be the GPA that can to the State Board of Education's uniform grading policy, the GPA that is used for Hope determination. So in 2 different ways that you can help us out with GPA. Again, GPA and ACT are the 2 factors that we're going to use to determine admissions to the institutions, as well as the state and institutional aid that they would be eligible for based on GPA. So one thing is that on the Tennessee Promise app this year, if your students have already started the Tennessee Promise app, you probably have noticed that there's a question on there about their Hope Scholarship GPA. So this would be through 6 semesters through their junior year. What is their Hope Scholarship GPA? If you can make sure that your students know that so that they're able to put that in the Tennessee Promise application. The other thing is that we know that some students will not know that, or they will just guess, or they may put down a number that they think is close, but we still need the best possible indication that's accurate for their Hope Scholarship GPA. So what you're going to receive very soon, next week or so probably, is an email from James Snyder, who manages Tennessee Promise, with a very secure way that you're able to send a spreadsheet of all your seniors' Hope Scholarship GPA to the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. And then we will use those GPAs. If we don't have the spreadsheets, we will have to kind of fall back and use what the students put in the Tennessee Promise portal. But we would prefer to use spreadsheets from you giving us all the GPAs for your seniors through 6 semesters. So again, you will receive an email about that probably next week. I have a couple of FAQs that I wanted to answer that have come up in just about every meeting, and then we will open it up to the floor for any questions, all questions that you all have. The first question that we get regularly is, what if my school was not selected to participate in direct admissions pilot? Again, this is just the 1-year pilot that we're doing for 25-26. High schools were randomly selected through this process, with the total pool being all public high schools in the state of Tennessee. So every high school had an equal chance of being selected for the different treatment groups for participating or not participating as any other. Going forward, right now, what we're thinking, our expectation is that going forward, all high schools across the state, all seniors that complete the Tennessee Promise would be eligible to participate in Tennessee Promise. So that should include private schools. We're trying to make sure that this is something that we could do with homeschool students. So that's our plan going forward. It hasn't been worked out in any way, but just because your high school is not participating this 1 year, we fully expect that going forward they would be able to. Many of you already do a lot of work for College Application and Exploration Month. You have a lot of your students apply to colleges during that time. So again, if your high school is not selected for direct admissions, you 100% will do everything the way you've just always done it. Don't do anything. Don't mention direct admissions to your students or anything like that. So what if your school is selected to participate in direct admissions, but you still always participate in College Exploration and Application Month? So going forward, we might be able to send out these letters from the governor earlier, but this year we wanted to send all of them out at one time. Again, because of the study, we wanted to send them all out at one time after the Tennessee Promise application closed. So whatever you normally do in College Exploration and Application Month, please just continue to do the same thing this year as well. There is no harm in, if they applied to a college during College Exploration and Application Month, if they want to, they can select that. They probably haven't heard anything back about them being even accepted yet. They can select those same colleges that they may have applied to with their direct admissions letter if they're listed on there, or if they saw that there were a couple of institutions that they did not apply to during college exploration application month, and they want to select different institutions with the direct admissions letter, they can do that as well. So still do what you always have been doing in that manner. The other question that we've received a lot from school counselors is that will school counselors have access to these letters? Again, we're going to mail them and email them to the students, but we all know that students are going to lose what we send them in the mail, and some of them lose their password or something to be able to get into their email. So we are working on one. We will put a copy of the link in the students' TSAC portal, so you could help them get back to the letter that way. And so if they wanted to share it with you, they could. And we are also working on a secure way that we would be able to send school counselors a folder that would have all of their seniors' letters in it as well. So let me stop sharing and just take all the questions.
Okay, so Duane, let's see. I'm having a little bit of trouble with my camera here. Hopefully it'll turn on in just a moment. But I've got some kind of rapid fire questions for you here, Duane. We've got quite a few, so I want to see if we can kind of quickly cover them. A couple of things I just wanted to highlight that people had questions about and that you did cover. One was, how does this work with free application month or college application and exploration month? So what I heard you say, Duane, is we still want students to apply as they normally would. They will still get the application fee waivers for the colleges that choose to participate in college in the toolkit, which I'm currently working on right now, and we'll have really, really soon for our schools. But what specifically, what one question that somebody had, let's see, I want to make sure that I find it. Okay, will students receive the letter about direct admissions if they already applied to one of the schools on the list and they were already admitted? And will this cause any issue with their file at the institution if they were admitted prior to direct admissions? So like you just said, they still want to go ahead and apply. They may or may not have heard if they were admitted yet. If they've already gotten that acceptance letter from that college, the college will still appear on their list on their letter. Is that correct, Duane?
That's correct. It'll still appear on their list. If they've already been accepted to it, and so they're already been working on some of the things that the institution has told them, so maybe they don't want to select it on direct admissions, or maybe they do. Either way is fine. We've let the institutions know this. It won't cause any problems with the institutions, with them have already applied and then applying again during direct admissions. The institutions will take care of that.
Sure. And somebody else did mention, and we talked about it in the chat, they asked if the universities chose to participate or if they were random as well. And they did choose to participate. So any of those colleges or universities who will be on that list, they are willing, ready, able to work out all of these systems on the back end as well. So, okay, the rest of these questions I'm going to ask in the order that they were sent in. One question, does a student need an ACT score in FAST in order to receive a letter? One that includes institutions that require certain ACT scores. And this person said some of our students and their ACT scores need to be entered manually. So I'm just curious by when this would need to be completed.
So we should receive all the students' ACTs that they took in the spring of their junior year because of Hope eligibility. And so let's say we do not have a student's ACT score, so we just have their GPA. So when we're looking at Hope eligibility, when we're looking at institutional requirements, then we would just have their GPA to look at instead of both GPA and ACT.
Great.
So it's not required for them to participate, but it does help as far as institutions, admissions, and institutional aid that we would have both,
Sure.
but we should. If they took the ACT, we should have it.
Good to know. Just to reiterate kind of what we were talking about before, someone else said, since the letters won't be sent until November, what happens if a student applies to a college on the list earlier in the year? We've touched on that. They just continue with the application process as normal, and it should not affect their admissions on the university or college side. Right. Another question.
I would add, Sarah, I was just going to add that that's probably one of those things that going forward, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to do Tennessee direct admissions at the same time we have college application exploration month, but that just didn't work for this year for the experiment. So we realize that that's a little bit troublesome this year, but we'll get through it and then just kind of address it in a different way going forward.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's keep going here. There were some people who were talking about not knowing if their school, obviously if their high school is selected, not knowing which group they're in, just some concerns there. So one specific question says, how can we communicate effectively with our families and students about what is coming if we do not know what type of letter the student will be getting? It would really help the school counselors to not look like they're in the dark if we would be willing to share why the timeline of our, like what the timeline would be with the families and what type of letter they would be receiving.
Good question. Taylor, do you want to answer that question while we're doing that the way we are?
Sure, great question. So, as Duane mentioned, you're welcome to go to the Tennessee Direct Admissions website and see if your school is listed in one of the treatment groups. That'll identify and let you know that a letter will be coming to your students and families. The only difference in that letter will be an additional page that some students receive that will have information on financial aid. And that financial aid information will include eligibility for HOPE, Tennessee Promise, as well as institutional grants and scholarships. We will not be telling schools or students or counselors or colleges or universities which letters students are going to be receiving until they receive those letters. You can think about this if we step back and think about studying a program, or you can think about it kind of in the medical research sense. We're giving students access to different types of treatments, but we don't want students to know that they're in the the placebo group, or they're in the group with like the super good drug that we think is going to be the super good drug or whatever, because counselors and principals and colleges and universities are going to respond differently if they know that students are in one group or another. And so we've publicized the list of high schools where students will receive letters, but we won't let people know on the front end what type of letter they're going to receive until they actually receive the letter, because that's the treatment that we're studying. However, when letters do go out, THEC has developed and is actively developing a variety of resources that will be sent and made publicly available to counselors, FAQ documents, etc., that will provide guidance for folks who receive just the direct admissions letter, for people who receive the direct admissions and financial aid letter, et cetera, et cetera. So no one will be kind of in the dark in terms of resources or what this document means or what this offer actually means, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that, Taylor. Okay, a couple of other things. I want to jump over to one more question, and then we have two kind of subjects that we have a lot of questions around. So the last kind of random one I wanted to bring up, someone asked, how should students who transfer in or out of a school receiving one treatment or another be handled? Especially when it comes to like GPA reporting, uploading those spreadsheets with GPA information, et cetera.
Good question. So the high school is what is getting the treatment, not the student. The way it was randomized is by high school, not by student. So let's say and the timing that is going to be important too. So let's say a student was part of a high school that received the letter. This student has already claimed their spot, and then they moved to a school that was not a part of direct admissions. Well, we're not going to take them out of it at that point. However, let's say that in September, a student moves from a school that they were going to be participating in this high school, and then in September they move to a school that is not a part of direct admissions. Before the letters go out, before anything happens, then their high school on record at that time is not participating in direct admissions.
Perfect. I think that was perfectly answered. Thank you, Duane. Okay, we do have quite a few more questions. So I'm gonna, like I said, kind of break or kind of group some of the questions into two categories. One is about saving seats. The other is about updating academic requirements. So let's talk about the academic requirements first, because that's where we're getting a lot of questions. So obviously students will retake the ACT. A lot of students choose to retake it in the fall of their senior year, in December of their senior year. So a lot of people are asking whether it's for admissions or financial aid, will that information be updated at any point during the fall? Basically, what's the deadline? What's the last academic information that will be used to determine what the student's letter says? And people are also asking, will there be updated letters sent when the student's academic information, like an updated GPA or an updated ACT, is taken?
Got it. So if we don't have an updated ACT from them, before the letters go out, there will not be, and then they take it again in December or something. There will not be a second letter go out. There would not be an update in involving direct admissions with a new ACT score. Now, this is to let students kind of get that upfront forecast, letting them know what they're eligible for. This is not actually their final GPA or ACT that's used for hope verification at the end of the student's senior year. If that makes sense. This is just what's allowing students and their parents and families kind of have that early look at this is what's possible if I go here, if this is what I do. So it wouldn't change the letter that they received, but also, and that's not to say that it wouldn't help the student to get a higher GPA or to retake the ACT, but they're not going to get a second letter. One of the things that we will do on the letters related to that is, so we also have students that they may just be a point or two away from receiving the Hope Scholarship Award. So their letter would not say you are eligible for Hope based upon the records that we show for your ACT score, but it may say, please consider retaking your ACT score. If you receive this score, then you could be eligible for Hope Scholarship going forward or something to that effect as well. So we're hoping that in that way it can encourage students that are just right there on the borderline to retake it.
Great, thanks, Duane. Just another quick question about that. Can you talk a little bit more, could you repeat about how or where the counselors are going to upload the transcript information or the GPA information for their students?
So this is something that we have just been trying to work out for the last day or two. And so honestly, we don't have it finalized yet. What as school counselors, every high school that is a part of the study, they'll receive an email from James Snyder, I believe it's going to be next week, who manages Tennessee Promise, that's going to give them an Excel spreadsheet template that they can use to put all of their seniors' GPA in the spreadsheet. It's going to tell them where a secure folder is going to be located that they can access, and it will give them a username and password to access that secure folder to send us that information. So this is six semesters GPA.
Okay, and then last question there, is there a deadline for uploading those GPAs, those spreadsheets? Some schools, one person brought up that they have students who are still completing summer school courses, and so they're still not able to calculate those accurate GPAs quite yet.
I think we talked about October 1. If somebody that's on here knows differently and wants to put that in the chat, they can, but I think we talked about October 1 deadline.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, and then the other group of questions are really focusing around when a student is able to save their seat. So after they get that letter, people are asking, will there be a deadline for students to accept? And then what are the parameters around, can students select multiple schools? Is there any limitation or any controls to prevent a student from accepting more than one seat? And what's the maximum number of colleges that could be listed on the student's letter? And then one more question after that.
Great, good questions. I'll be quick. So first, with the deadline question, I'll just say that we haven't decided upon a deadline yet. But what we're looking at is probably like a May 1st deadline right now, because we know that the influence that you, as far as school counselors and college access professionals, have, once students graduate and they're gone for the summer, it would be harder for you to be able to keep in touch with them and remind them of things and things like that. The institutions are mostly okay with us keeping the deadline open throughout the summer until school starts, but I just know that the impact that you all will be able to have will pretty much end once school is over. Sarah, tell me the other question again.
Sorry, you mentioned, how many colleges are they able to select? Sorry,
okay.
I'm still filtering through the questions.
Thank you. Sorry. Again, this is something that we haven't finalized, but I think right now we're probably looking at about 5 institutions, multiple 4-year institutions, and then at least 1 community college and 1 TCAT. And in some places, it might make sense that they could actually select multiple community colleges or TCATs for that high school. So you could have a student that, depending on the program they want to go into or geographically where they are located at, they may be considering 2 TCATs or 2 community colleges, depending again on exactly where they live in their county or what program they want to enter.
Perfect. That actually answers the next question that I had for you, which was the second part of a question where someone asked, will all the students receive a TCAT in a community college listed on their letter, or will some of them only receive four-year institutions? But like you just mentioned, all of our students will have at least one TCAT, at least one community college on their letter, along with any other participating colleges or universities that they have been admitted to based on academic requirements. Is that correct?
That's correct. And if they're a high school that is selected to receive financial aid information, then not only will it say they've been accepted to this community college and this TCAT, it will say something along the lines they could attend any community college and TCAT if they wanted to, and using the Tennessee Promise, it would be free of tuition and fees.
Great. Okay, I know we didn't get super in-depth into a lot of the questions, but I think we were able to handle quite a few of them. Duane, I appreciate you rapid fire back and forth answering these questions. I do just want to say this is not going to be the last that our school counselors, college access professionals, embedded college advisors, career advisors hear about direct admission. So we will keep the communications up. Like Duane said, we will have different opportunities and mailings and things for you all to make sure that you feel really equipped to be able to handle any questions from your students, from parents and families about what this program is going to look like. And I just want to say that we really appreciate everybody, all of your excitement, your willingness to work with us here. We're really excited about this program, and definitely more information will be coming soon. So we got to pretty much all of the questions that we can get to, and the way that I kind of compiled them there, Duane. If you or Taylor have any kind of closing thoughts, we'll let everybody go.
Thank you all very much. We're excited about this initiative, and we're excited about how excited you all are as school counselors and college access professionals about this opportunity as well.
And just as a reminder, there's tons of information on the direct admissions website. And so if you ever have any questions, we're keeping that updated as we have more information. Like Duane was saying, some of these things, the details are still being ironed out. So as those details come, I would definitely suggest taking a look at that website. So Taylor, any other thoughts from you before we
I
go?
was going to say thank you so much for your engagement. We're super excited about this opportunity. The way to maximize the impact of this is to get more students to complete the Tennessee Promise app and equip them with their HOPE GPA and any like updated ACT score. So please continue to leverage the really, really fantastic staff that we have at THEC for questions or things like that as well. And like Sarah said, we'll be sending some more information as well. So please help us just get the word out that this is real, get students and parents excited about it, because we're really excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Duane. Thank you, Taylor. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. We'll go ahead and post this recording shortly so that you can share it with your teams as well. So everyone have a great Friday, and thanks again for joining us. Bye.